How would you like to learn the secrets of two Karma Club Award winners on how they have built successful online businesses from almost nowhere to now running multiple 7 and 8 figure businesses by following the simple fundamentals of life? And let's see how they have used the powerful funnel systems, processes, automation, and social media to help their business grow at a different pace. Let's dive into their journey to grasp the strategy, mindset, action plan of how they have done it from almost nowhere to the way up to 7 figures. We are going to uncover and pick their brains of the top performing entrepreneurs on this show. How they have done it and how you can do it too. You are listening to the Nikhil Sai, the host, and welcome to the Nikhil Sai Show. What's going on? What's going on? Everyone's actually listening to this podcast right now. First of all, guys, welcome to the Nikhil Sai Show, which is hosted by me, the Nikhil Sai. And guess what's going on today? We are back with another amazing 2CCX winner. This is going to be crazy story, guys. So make sure to stick around. If you are wondering like how you can do stuff epic in your business, this is going to be a wonderful podcast. You're going to be learning from the coach who actually coaches the top level entrepreneurs. So this is going to be an amazing podcast. Now we are talking about a person who's been expert when it comes to sales, and that has been powered up with digital marketing, and he's been helping thousands of entrepreneurs scale up their businesses like crazy by building accountability and by getting their full potential out, right? So this is going to be crazy podcast, guys. So make sure to stick around. So let's not waste any time, and actually let's welcome Bart Miller, CEO at I Do Epic. Hey, Bart.
How are you? How are you guys doing?
Absolutely, everyone is pretty excited to have you on, Bart. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I look forward to chatting about a lot of fun stuff.
Absolutely, Bart. And Bart, when we look at your journey, like this is so crazy. Like you started from almost starting your own business to now actually helping thousands of people start, build, and scale their own online businesses and get to that empire level with freedom and financial accountability and stuff like that. So we'd love to hear like how did your journey get started? Like how did all of this craziness started?
Yeah, so I started my journey back when went to college, got the first year in college, and decided college wasn't for me. And I was talking to a professor that I just asked him. I said, like, why aren't you doing this if you're so smart and you can teach it? And he was super honest, which I can't tell you how grateful I am. And he just said, if I could, I would. And I knew inside of me that I could. So I left that day, and I never went back to school, and started into sales and marketing. And first I was in sales and started selling Western saddles, believe it or not, clothing and saddles. And in there, I met a guy that recruited me from inside of that sales organization, from that company, and started me into furniture. So then I started selling furniture. And then I got from there to marketing and advertising for a TV station. And that's where I really started to learn how to market. And one of my big sayings that I tell everybody is marketing done right alleviates the need to sell. And that makes a lot of salespeople frustrated. But reality is, if you market right, you do all your structures right, you really don't need to sell. You need to be an order taker. And, not that I don't think sales is needed. Don't get me wrong. But that being said, I think marketing is your number one thing. So that led me from there into huge international business that I owned, and into an investment that didn't work out, into looking at internet marketing. So about 20 years ago, I started in internet marketing. As a matter of fact, I started in the e-commerce world on eBay back in the day. That's where I started selling things, and I was selling, and it worked out really well. So my journey has been quite a journey, from everywhere from eBay to Amazon to Shopify to building the largest online makeup school, building other schools online and selling those. So I've been in all the worlds of internet marketing, from affiliate marketing to all of it. But
Wow.
that being said, I've been super blessed along the journey. So that's how it all come about.
Yeah, absolutely. But we are glad that we had someone who have done it all and who is experienced in marketing from the day one. Like just internet marketing was just a baby and you got started with it. That was awesome, But thank you so much. And but like your company name is I Do Epic. And I've seen all of your students, like all of these top entrepreneurs who've been coached by you, and like they do epic as well. So we would love to show our podcast listeners like how to do epic, like what epic means to you actually.
Yeah, good question. So I just wrote a deal on this not too long ago, but The number one thing I want to tell you what epic is. Okay. So in my opinion, right. And this is the one thing that most entrepreneurs fail at is they have too much trash up here. Epic is being able to control your brain in situations that you don't feel like you're in control. So if you ever watched a guy that's going to hit a motorcycle ramp, for example, at Mach 90, he's going to jump this gap and he's going to land on the other side. Imagine the anxiety, the fears, the everything that goes on inside of a human body, right? But what epic is to be able to control that fear. Know it's there. There's no reason to not know it's there. That's okay. But to control it, understand it, walk yourself through it, and know you're going to make everything okay. In business, the problem that happens is business is never perfect. So therefore, what happens is you're going to have ups and downs. I don't care who you are. You're going to have good days and bad days. But what epic is, and when you are epic is, when you're in those bad days, you're able to control that brain and know there is a good day coming. And you're going to make it, and you're going to do everything you dreamed of doing. But if you let your mind out control you, you're not being epic. You're not being epic. You're being scared, and you're letting fear, and you're letting your ego run your life. And, ego stands for edging God out, which means you're not letting the universe or God control and help you be epic, because you're pushing them out of that, because of your fears and things to that nature. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need to admit the fact that a lot of entrepreneurs needs to start to be epic or become epic person and the best person of themselves. That's absolutely amazing. But thank you so much for explaining what epic means. So guys, try to be epic, right? So, but one thing you have been actually helping a lot of people achieve is building online businesses which are highly scalable. Like most people start an online business, let's say affiliate marketing, e-commerce, and they have a ceiling, like they have a budget problem, they have a ceiling problem, which let's say they stop at 5-figure months. And your students have been killing it by growing to even 7 and 8-figure year businesses, which is freaking awesome. So we'd love to learn more about like how to actually build a scalable online business.
Well, I think the biggest thing is understand what your niche is and who your avatar is, right? So once you understand your defined, what you're selling, what your niche is, and then putting your value ladder to that, and then understanding from there, who is the exact person you're talking to and why are you talking to that human being, then all of a sudden things become a lot easier. The problem is most of us don't have that grasp. We think we have it, but we really don't have it dialed in. Once you got that dialed in, the rest becomes just a traffic issue, right? So, I mean, the biggest thing I teach my students is we really get serious on what are you doing and why are you doing it, right? If you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, it doesn't make any sense. And then who are you doing it for and why are you doing it for them? So, why am I so passionate about helping people grow businesses? Well, because I see what happens in families. I see what's happening out there when people don't feel like they financially can do the things that they want to, when there's so many fears out there of losing jobs. There's so many, all these things right now. So I'm just really passionate about teaching people the basic things that make a business run, and just helping them understand those on a greater level.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's what differentiates successful businesses from unsuccessful ones, because having the clarity on who you're serving and what is the outcome you're getting them, like it really matters a lot. Thank you so much for
Well,
mentioning
I'll tell you one more thing on that might be of value to you is understand people aren't buying you. So number one thing that people have a problem with, right? You don't, the great thing is you want to interview me, right? That's awesome. And I think it's awesome that we want to do that. But you could give a crap less about me. I mean, it's sad to say that, but what you really want is my systems. You want my techniques. If you have my systems and my recipes and my systems, you can be successful. So people, we get in our own way of thinking that, oh, they didn't buy my they didn't do this. It's all because it's based on you. It's not about you. I mean, I wish people always wanted to just buy Bart Miller. He's the greatest looking guy. I want to hang out with him. I want to travel the world, and that'd be awesome. But reality is all the people I coach invest in me because they want my systems. They want my formulas. They want the way I got those awards that are sitting behind me. That's what they're really after. They're not after me. You want to interview me because you want to know, how did I get
the
there?
knowledge.
Not because, as much as you might think I'm a great guy, reality is you want my systems. So remember, people are trying to buy your system. But if you don't have a system for them to buy, you've already got a problem. If you're trying to sell you over your system, you've already got a problem.
Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of people are stuck, because they're constantly selling themselves as a product or service. Like they're selling themselves, and there's a ceiling. You can't handle 10 or 15 people. But when it comes to businesses like yours and your student ones, like they have much more scalable businesses because they are selling systems, not themselves. Like even if they drop off as a CEO, it doesn't matter. They still have that system up and running. That really matters a lot. But thank you so much for mentioning that. I think this clearly explains how important to have a real product market fit product or service in the marketplace. Absolutely. But thank you. And Bart, like I really wonder, like when you explain stuff, you simplify things to the smallest minute particles and you phrase them in few sentences, like just like cutting edge, techniques to actually explain and simplify stuff, right? And we've been seeing you've been, when you're in coaching programs, when you're, on podcasts, and whenever you actually put out content, you make it very, very simple. So we'd love to understand your ideology. Like how do you simplify stuff? Like when you look at complex marketing, how do you simplify it to the shortest form of itself?
Man, that's a great question. So the one thing you find is that time is money, right? And right now, people they don't have a lot of attention span, right? Right now, they're scrolling YouTube, they're doing this, they're doing that. So bottom line is, if you can't get right to the point and make things simple for them, they're out and on to the next. So if I sit and take an hour, explaining something, they don't need that. What they need is 15 minutes at the most, or sometimes 30 seconds, to get stuff done, So, what I've learned is the quicker I can teach you the principle that you need to know, the quicker the results you get, right? So what I teach my students is if you can Google it, don't ask me. If you can Google it, you shouldn't be asking me, right? So if it's not a question that you can't find on Google, then ask me. When they ask me, I want it to be very precise in exactly what their question is, because what I want to do is answer their exact question. And when you think about your question, precisely what you're asking, you become very honed in on what the problem is. The problem is a lot of us, when we ask questions, don't even know what our damn problem is. So we just sit and ramble on what we think our problem is. And then we expect me to see and understand it. Well, that doesn't work, right? When you ask a direct question, I can give you a direct answer, right? So the real thing you want to do when you want to get things clear and focused is have people ask you very direct questions, but don't beat around the bush. Give them very direct answers. And if you don't know, then say you don't know. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. People need to admit that fact. But thank you so much for mentioning that technique. I think that's going to really save up a lot of time for entrepreneurs to get stuff done, because most people try to waste countless hours on meetings, which doesn't matter. And they just keep on asking useless questions. And if they ask right questions, we need to give that straight point answer. That was awesome, Bart. But I just want to understand like the ideology of high level entrepreneurs like you and your students. Like when you look at business owners who are already hitting that 6-figure level, 7-figure level, even 8-figure level, and these people still have the hunger for much bigger success and have that legacy as a goal. But when it comes to most people, most entrepreneurs, they admit the fact that they have a ceiling at 5-figure level or 6-figure level, and they settle, right? They have this goal, like everyone wants to make money, everyone wants to become bigger, but they get comfortable in that situation. Like how do you stay accountable on the bigger goals as your entrepreneur when you're making some money? How does that look like for you?
Yeah, so this is a good question for me. So here's the deal. A lot of people, for instance, like myself, I could have made a lot more money than I make today. Still can. I mean, it's not that if I want to turn certain levels and I want to work harder, I could do this even more and more, right? Because my systems work. There comes a point though when I don't want to work, to be honest with you. Like, so there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there. The reason that they settle is because they don't want a job. They want to exit from their job. But what they haven't set up systems to where other people can do it while they walk away. So if you really dig into my life, most people know that I like to play a lot and I play hard. So I only like to work 2 days a week. If I work that long, that's it for me. I don't like to work. I mean, I like to use my systems. I like to help people. But the whole reason I got into the online business space wasn't to have a job. It was to have residual income. And they forget that part. So what they do is they get so caught up in their job that they burn themselves out to where when they want to go to the next level, they don't have the energy. They don't have the capability. They've wore themselves out going so hard because they haven't created systems that let them only work a few days a week and scale their businesses. Does that make sense? So what you got to do is get out of, you got to understand why you're in this business. If it's just to make money and it's to replace another job and you just want a job, great. Then you have a job, go to work.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me any. I didn't get in this business to have a job. I got in this business to create freedom so I could do whatever I wanted to do. Okay. So if I want to go and play and go travel and do the stuff I want to have the income to do that. Now, if all of a sudden I want to buy a new house, I also want to be able to ramp up my systems, turn up the heat, make me $1 million, go buy my house, move on. That doesn't mean I want to just keep, running harder and build, big empires all the time. And people think, well, why don't you want to do that? I just don't want to. Like, I have other things I want to experience in this life. Like I love experiencing other things. I love experiencing other cultures. I love I just don't feel like I want to. Anyway, the moral story is I'm getting on a tangent here, but I really just want people to understand why you're in business. If it's for a job, then don't bitch about it. If you want freedom, then create the systems to where you don't have to be the ego, the person that's running it all the time. You've got the right people in the right places on the bus. Turn up that, utilize your people, bless their lives, step back and go do the things you want. The reason you don't see me everywhere and all across the board, I'm not a Gary Vaynerchuk that's not been my dream in internet marketing. My dream is to make plenty of money to live the lifestyle I've wanted to live. And I've done that. I'm super grateful for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it comes down to the purpose, but absolutely, you have been accomplishing that perfectly. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs should really understand their purpose and really focus on that rather than seeing someone else and getting into that, oh, he has all that, I don't have it. They shouldn't get into that comparison syndrome. That's really awesome, but thank you so much for mentioning that. So, but one of the things which I've really seen and I really liked about you is like you're a fitness enthusiast. Like we have this billionaire cowboy who's so fit, right? And you've been an entrepreneur from a long time, so we'd love to understand more about like what fitness is really when it comes to as an entrepreneur. Like how much important it is as an entrepreneur when it comes to fitness.
Yeah, good question. So I've always been super into, I raced pedal bikes, long distance. I've run, I've been a bodybuilder. I mean, I've done lots of things, right? Because what happens in my life is I've got to keep my mind clear. And so I've got to have something. It's kind of crazy to say this to you, but I really have to have something that causes pain or makes me lose what my mind is in business. It clears my mechanism. So when I'm pedaling a bike and I'm in so much pain because I'm in a race that I can't think about anything but that moment, my mechanism's cleared. Okay. It just gets me out of everything else. I'm only in that moment. Right. And so in my life, it's fit. People look at fitness as I want to be skinny. I want to be trim. I get all that. Right. And I'm fine with it. But the reason I use fitness in business is because I want something that gives me an escape. Okay. Why I team rope, the reason I rodeo is I want an escape. When you've got a horse running full out, you've got a cow running full out. When you're holding on and you're swinging a rope and you can't think about anything else but that moment. Yeah. When you've got, hundreds of pounds sitting over the top of you, coming down that can crush you, you don't think about anything else but that moment. Yeah. Right? I love things that just clear my mechanism so I can just get away from everything else. Then when I re-engage, I'm clear. So it's like meditation. That's why I'm such a huge advocate of morning routines and meditation. All my students, first thing we go through is let's figure out your morning routine. Let's figure out your mind, your brain, your meditation. What are you attracting? What's the vibration of where you're at today? And they all look at me like, I thought you were a cowboy. I am a cowboy. That doesn't mean I can't understand these things and understand, the importance of your energy, understanding, you want to see energies. The first day you You sit on a horse and you're scared shitless, and that horse can feel it. They can feel your energy. You really see how it affects an animal. It affects something else around you. Because a lot of times most of us don't understand energy at all, but you're created of it, you know?
Yeah.
So to get back to fitness and that, I want my mechanism cleared. I like meditation because it does the exact same thing. Then when I can get back to where I'm at, my mechanism's cleared, I can function at a higher level, and I'm ready to rock and roll. Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing is I teach is, if you want to be a Ferrari, then act like a damn Ferrari. If you want to be a diesel truck, then be a damn diesel truck. I don't give a shit what you want to do. If you want to eat like diesel and be sluggish, then do it. Be proud, own it. I don't give a rat's ass. But if you want to be a Ferrari, then don't say, you know, well, here I am, a diesel truck, but I want to be a Ferrari. Be a Ferrari. Do it. That's all you got to do. But if you're going to be a Ferrari, you got to heat high octane fuel. You got to meditate. You got to do things that a Ferrari would do. You're fine tuned. You don't just sit there, you know? So understand what you want to be as a human. Then fitness takes on that level of whatever it is.
Wow. Absolutely, Bart. Thank you so much for mentioning that. I think that really clears down to understanding what type of person you want to be, and then just go and become that person. And I really love the fact you mentioned that how to get unwind from this business, because a lot of people think like Friday nights gonna get them unwind, but not true. Even in party, you think about this client dispute and the project, the meetings you have on Saturday and Sunday, right?
Yep.
But I think exercise, and as you mentioned, meditation and other exercises which you mentioned, can really help them to get this crucial detachment from the business. And I think that's really, really important as an entrepreneur. But thank you so much for mentioning that. And but let's get to the next question. This is very, very important. I'm pretty excited to learn this from you. Like you've been, like you said, as you just mentioned, like you are doing probably 16-hour work weeks at max, right? And you've been building systems and processes in your business at a very high scale where you're doing multi 8 figures in sales. So I would love to learn more about like what kind of tools do you use to manage your project, clients, or productivity? How does that look like?
Man, so to do that mainly, I'm pretty old school. So we use a lot of Excel spreadsheets still. I know it sounds crazy, but Excel's still the number one thing we use to track a lot of our stuff in our e-commerce businesses. The other tools that we use are my calendar. You know, if you're not on my calendar, it just doesn't happen in my day. I mean, and that's the honest to God truth. Even my kids, everybody has access to my calendar. If they don't put it on my calendar, I don't show up. You know, my time is my time. And so if you want some of it, you get on my calendar, then I will show up. You know, that's just how I've used that. But I was trying to think when I read that question from you, you know, what's the number one tool that we use? And for productivity and clients. And I'm going to kind of just go back to it's this. We use our brain. So for productivity, what we do is we meditate. Most people don't know this, but I meditate and pray over all my clients every day. Every day. I meditate and pray over their clients every day, that their businesses will flourish, that they will have breakthroughs in their businesses that they've never had before. Right. So I through energy and through loving them so much, help them be more productive, which helps me be more productive. Right. So it's not always softwares that do all the things you want them to do. Okay. Now there's some great software out there. Let's be clear. Like there's Trello boards that we have. I mean, and some of my other people are just really organized that way. Me, I'm just a little more old school. So what I do is I make sure all my clients know I love them. I care about them. I'm grateful for them. They're family to me. I pray over them like they're family to me. And I pray over their clients the exact same way to help make all this more productive.
Yeah, absolutely, Bart. Thank you so much. And like, guys, Excel sheet is what it takes to you to build a multi-8-figure business. So don't excuse that you don't have softwares and systems in place. So you can do it too. Thank you so much for mentioning that, Bart. And Bart, we've been stressing out a lot. Like you even mentioned that you actually focus. The first part is the daily routines of your clients. And this really mentions that how crucial it is to have a routine, and how crucial as an entrepreneur you should have like a set action tasks to do every day, so that you have your body and mindset correctly. So would you like to talk about like your personal routine? How does that look like for you?
Yeah. So without getting into hours of it, first thing is I get up the same time every morning, no matter what. And I know it sounds crazy, but I'm like the Navy SEAL. I make my bed every day. I get up, make my bed. Then what I do is I have a glass of water because I feel like that just hydration is a super important part of my morning routine. And then I
Mm-hmm.
go right into meditation. So depending on where I meditate, there's different places on how I feel, if it's warm outside, if it's snowing outside. But meditation, I love to be able to see nature. Obviously, I live right in the mountains, so I just really enjoy that part of it. So then
Wow.
I meditate. Through my meditations, I do a bunch of gratitude stuff, and then from there, I get up. I usually have a protein shake, and then I'm off to
Mm-hmm.
the gym, unless it's Monday or Tuesdays. Mondays, I always have a client call first thing, and then I'm off to the gym. Tuesday, I have 2 client calls, and then I'm off to the gym. So then I'm in the gym. I do my workout. Then I turn around, I come back home. And then depending on which day it is, I'm either into client calls or I'm trying to figure out, what it is that I want to do as my next big project, or what I'm working on as one of my big goals. So like right now, most people that follow me know in 2 months, I'm in Vegas roping for a lot of money. So I'm going to be at the World Series in Las Vegas and have a chance to win $250,000. And so I'm practicing a lot to go and compete at that high level and
Wow.
do that. So, I come home, I look at what I'm doing there. I look at every one of our businesses and I look at what needs to be done in those, and then about my day. But my morning routine is basically that. Then mid-afternoon, I check in on everything. And then in the evening, I sit down, I re-look at all my day, what I did, what I didn't do. And then I turn
Mm-hmm.
around and I have meditations that I listen to when I go to bed. So I have a speaker in my room, and there's certain
Wow.
vibrations, and I play them all night while I sleep and just let that, my subconscious mind work. Then I get up and I start it all over again. So there's just different things that way. But bottom line is that's in a short nutshell, a quick routine for you.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's really exciting. I think that it really inspires a lot of people, and there are so many takeaways for people who really want to implement regular things in their day-to-day routine. Thank you so much for that, Bart. Let's get to the next question, Bart. If there's an option, so you can talk to your 20-year-old yourself or someone who's just getting started in business, what would be your number one suggestion for them?
Yeah. You want the truth?
Yep. Why not?
Number one thing I could coach every young entrepreneur to do is go find somebody who's done what they want to do. Go do whatever it takes to work for them for a year, even if it's for free. Learn their recipe and become wealthy for the rest of their life. Get past themselves. Forget, I got to make money. It's amazing to me. These young kids that go spend all this money on college. They pay for their housing. They pay for their schooling. They pay for all this bullshit. But yet they'll turn around and call a guy like me and say, you need to pay me because I've got a marketing degree. I went to this college and I want to come to work for you. And I just have to shake my head and say, are you like, when were you born and what in the hell earth and planet are you from? Right? Because at the end of the day, you should be calling me saying, son of a gun, I just wasted a lot of money, but I'm willing to waste a lot more to know how to do it right
Hmm.
than I am to sit in what I just learned to try to tell you how to do it right when you're already doing it. I'm doing it.
Absolutely.
So go
You
spend
need
a
to
year,
admit
go
that.
get a damn house, have your parents go buy a house next to me, go have your parents pay for all your food, go have your parents do all that, show your ass up here, work for a year. I guarantee you after a year, you'll leave here knowing how to go do that. So change the
Absolutely.
stinking thinking of what you're being. The only thing you're doing when you're going to school and all this bullshit, these young kids, is becoming excuse me, my language, a fucking slave. All you
That's
are.
the truth.
You're trying to go
Yeah.
work for somebody else and become a slave. Slavery is gone. Let's forget about that. Go learn how to think like an entrepreneur. And what an entrepreneur thinks like is, how do I solve this problem if I want to do that? That is, you go
Hmm.
find somebody who's done that. There's no reason to try to reinvent a wheel if you can't make the wheel that's out there today. Go learn who knows how to make that wheel. Then if you want to change the wheel, change the wheel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think a lot of young entrepreneurs need to, I mean, they relate so much because we see people who are making that first check and asking for that first check, even if they have zero experience. I think That's what it really takes, that they should give up everything and they should go and find someone who can help them and do the work, get to the work without a pay. I think that really compensates and compounds as they learn the real recipe to build what a successful online business is built, right? Absolutely. But thanks for mentioning that, really love it.
Yeah.
Let's get to the next question, Bart. Your life's biggest achievement so far and any next bigger goals?
Well, like any dad, will say and everything, and it's true, having my kids, my family, biggest accomplishment I could ever have. I think the next biggest accomplishment in my life has been being able to be open-minded, look at other points of view, understand things from a perspective that I wasn't able to understand. In today's culture, it's we're canceling this, we're canceling that. There's this, that, and to me, it's like we just need to be open-minded. It really comes down to understanding that we're not all right. I don't care who we are, and it's okay. It's okay. Like, just because I'm a cowboy and wear a cowboy hat and go rope and do that doesn't mean I can't understand another humans across the world and their thinking process. I might not agree with it. Okay. That's okay. That doesn't mean I need to hate them or that they're wrong. What can I understand that is right? What can I understand that, guess what? They were raised too to believe certain ways. But if we all will just be open-minded, right? That's my biggest accomplishment in my life. I've been in meetings with people that I'm like, if I were to take my traditional way I was raised, I would never be in meetings with them. It would be, that's just, no. I've never done that. I've always walked in and said, I don't care who you are. I'm going to give you 100%, but I'm going to understand. Now, I might challenge you, but I'm not challenging you because I don't like you. I'm challenging you because that's the way I was raised. And I want to understand further. And if you'll challenge me the same way, guess what? We both win, because we're both being open-minded to win, right? So the one thing in my marriage that we always do is, right, when we have a fight, my wife and I always look at her and I say, are we trying to do this to win together? Or are we fighting just to fight?
I think the answer comes down to just fighting to fight.
Right? So if we're winning, if we're trying to fight to win, and we're trying to get our points across, it's okay. I'm okay with that kind of, frustration, because we're trying to go to that next level. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if we're just fighting to fight, what the hell good does that do?
Doesn't make sense to do. Yeah.
Right? It doesn't. Not at all. So be open-minded. When you're in tough situations, look at the other human and say, are you trying to do this to help me become better? And am I trying to do this to help you become better? Because if we are, let's keep going. But if we're doing this just to be a pain in the ass to each other, let's just
Stop
quit.
it.
Right? Let's just stop it. Right? Because at the end of the day, if we do it with love and we want to help each other, we will win. So my biggest achievement, I would say, is my family and the ability to stand back and look at all situations and just be open-minded.
Absolutely, brother. So how about the next bigger goals? What kind of goals are you really looking to accomplish 2022, 2023 and upcoming years?
Yeah, so my biggest goal right now is, I shouldn't say I think, but really is, I'm going to help a lot more entrepreneurs in the e-com world. I think the e-com world is prime for a lot of people right now. The dynamics of it have changed a lot from, brick and mortar businesses. And I love the e-com space. I love coaching, but just help more people grow their online businesses. This next year, I think, is really my big goal. And then we've got a couple of e-com businesses ourselves that we're scaling right now, and we're growing. And I'm going to bring people on the inside of those businesses so they can see those grow, see how I turn them into multi-million-dollar businesses, and use that so they can grow their own businesses.
Yeah, brother, I really love the impact we're going to be creating, and all the best with that. Thank you so much for mentioning that. And Bart, this would be absolutely amazing to answer. I'm very excited to hear this answer. So what was the biggest mistake in business, especially?
My biggest mistake in business is letting fear stop me. I have had a lot of opportunities that I've been nervous or scared about, that I didn't just go all in. I didn't play life sometimes. Here's the thing. Sometimes we have to play life as if it's a video game instead of take it so serious. And my fear of losing everything overwhelmed some of the great opportunities that I should have jumped into probably. So I would say letting fear control me. And that's why I really have done so much mindset work, so much, things of being able to control that, be ready in, certain
Become
situations. But
epic.
yeah, just don't let fear kick your butt.
Absolutely, but I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with that. So you really need to start to become epic and try to be the best version. That's how you can stop that fear letting you to do the stuff you can actually achieve. That's awesome.
Exactly.
But let's get to the next question. Your main inspiration for the success, like what really inspires you, and the key people involved in your journey.
Inspires me for success. That's a good question, man. I don't know. Like, I love watching people that are like, I love watching Russell Brunson, build empires. It inspires me to see people who just really dig into something and go all out. They go all in. One thing I've always done is if I say I'm in, I'm not just in, I'm all in. And so I love watching others. That inspires me a lot for success, is to watch others that are at the top of their game. Doesn't matter what it's in, but watching those people do that. That would be it. It's just for me, inspires me the most is to watch. I don't care what level they are, but people who are going all in. I mean, I look at you today and how you showed up on this call, 3-piece suit. You look very sharp. Got your microphone out there. You approached me several times. I know you're hustling. I know you're going all in. I know you want this. I know that you're trying to get to that next level. That inspires me. That's what I like to see. That gives me energy. It gives me hope. But that's the number one thing, that inspires me for success, is to see other people that want it as bad.
Yep, I really appreciate that, Bart. Thank you so much for mentioning that. Let's get to the next question, Bart. I think this would be so awesome. A lot of people who are actually listening to this podcast might need help. Like, you're so cool. You've been cutting through all the stuff and directly getting to the point and explaining so much value in just quick 30 minutes. So where can our audience find your mentoring if they need more help?
They can go to idoepiccoaching.com. They can find stuff there if they want to. They can follow me on Instagram, Bart Allen, ALLAN Miller _ They can follow me there. Yeah, pretty much those two places are probably the best. I mean, you can find me anywhere, but yeah, that'd probably be it.
Yep. Absolutely, Bart. So, guys, make sure to check out the links in the description. I do epiccoaching.com as well as his Instagram. You would love to see what he has. It's just amazing. Like, he's gonna unlock your mind, just like what happened in this 30 minutes podcast session. Guess what's gonna happen if he personally coaches you? So make sure to check out Bart for sure. And Bart, it was absolutely amazing have you on. Any last word before we conclude the entire podcast session for today?
I think the number one thing is follow your dreams, but main thing is really know what you want and don't settle for anything less.
Yeah, absolutely. That was powerful, Bart. Thank you so much for mentioning that. So, guys, if you know that you could achieve something big and if you're settling for something small, question yourself, right? Question yourself and go do the work today, not tomorrow, today. Absolutely,
Amen.
Bart. Thank you for mentioning that. And once again, Bart, thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. It was really fun and amazing having you on this podcast. The amazing value you actually dropped down really helped and inspires a lot of entrepreneurs to show the possibility of what they can actually achieve in their life by having the right mindset and having the right coach in their life. And hopefully, guys, you enjoyed the podcast session so far. Make sure to check out idoepiccoaching.com and check out Instagram of Bart in the podcast description. And stay tuned for the next interview, guys. This is me, the Nikhil Sai, as well as Bart Miller, signing off for today. Peace out. I'll be back with another amazing 2 Comma Club winner very soon. Bye, Bart.
See ya. Thank you.